They are totally lost. Hi everyone, hope you guys are doing good. Your boy Al is here with episode 14 review of ReZero Season 3, so let's go. At first we see a flashback revisit Wilhelm and Teresa's first meeting. The focus then shifts back to the present, where Wilhelm fights Teresa without holding back. He reflects on their past separation before she went to battle the white whale, recalling her final words that hinted at a promise to return. Determined to uphold that promise, Wilhelm engages her in an intense clash. Their fight is interrupted when Heinkel calls out, distracting Wilhelm and allowing Teresa to land a devastating strike. Realizing his father is battling his mother, Heinkel takes up his sword but is swiftly disarmed and begs for his life. Wilhelm tries to regain Teresa's attention, but she ignores him and prepares to strike Heinkel down. This part was confusing, because Teresa's mind wasn't working properly, but then why did she react briefly when Wilhelm mentioned their promise? What do you guys think? Also, their first meeting was pretty cute. We see Reinhard arrive just in time to save his father, drawing the dragon sword reed. Wilhelm, filled with concern, pleads with Reinhard not to end Teresa. However, Reinhard responds that she had died by his hand 15 years ago and that what stands before them is merely a fake. He then slashes her chest with the reed sword. Teresa explains how the divine protection of the Sword Saint first manifested when she was 12, leading into a flashback. At that age, she immediately senses its presence, effortlessly defeating her brothers in a sparring match as her uncle observes. Later, she fights alongside her brothers and again beats them with ease. Her uncle then declares her the second Sword Saint and presents her with the dragon sword reed. However, Teresa breaks into tears, sympathizing with her brother, who had tirelessly pursued mastery of the sword. She laments that she has crushed his dream. The scene then shifts to her first campaign in the Demi-Human War 2 years later, where her brother finds her sitting in the corner of her tent and silently sits beside her. We know Reinhard can't draw his sword if it doesn't deem the other party worthy. So it's kinda insane that Reinhard was able to draw it, no? I mean, someone as strong as Regulus wasn't enough for the sword to be drawn. By the way, Teresa's uncle looked to be awfully cold toward her for no given reason. Moving on, we see he speaks of her kind and gentle nature, expressing his disappointment over what transpired 2 years ago. He shares that he loved both the sword and his life, but was still grateful to have her as his younger sister. Offering his support, he assures her that if she wishes to stop fighting, he will protect her as her older brother. We see her say that she never even stepped onto the battlefield during that war, nor did she wield a sword. Instead, her brother led the campaign and perished in battle. Afterward, she attempts to abandon her role as the Sword Saint but fails, pretending to be a coward as the war rages on. Over time, she learns that her uncle and all her other brothers also fell on the battlefield. Her mental state deteriorates in the midst of battle. However, she finds inspiration in the sight of a burning flower and the battlefield transforming into a field of blossoms as she takes up reed once more. It's honestly heartbreaking how Teresa was forced to go to war against her own will due to her divine protection, and how it turned out to be a curse in disguise that ruined her life. I mean, she pretty much lost her whole family and her own life thanks to it. Then we see that the flashback revisits scenes of a young Wilhelm and Teresa. Teresa acknowledges that Wilhelm never answered whether he loved her, but from that day forward, they were happy together. However, they eventually argued over her decision to hunt the white whale. It is implied that Heinkel's words influenced her choice to leave, as she once again asks Wilhelm if he loves her. She then wounds him using the divine protection of the god of death, preventing him from following her since his injury will not heal. Before departing, she reassures him that she will be fine, kisses him, and tells him that she loves him, promising that he will finally be able to say those words to her when she returns. The focus then shifts to the hunt, where Teresa and her soldiers find themselves completely overwhelmed by white whale's attacks. I didn't quite understand how Wilhelm was a better swordsman than Teresa, especially given that she was the sword saint at that time, but it was nice to see that Wilhelm was able to take some burden off of Teresa's shoulders and give her some much-deserved happiness and peace, right? At the end we see Teresa eventually leads her troops into battle but loses the sword saint's divine protection as they advance. Pandora appears before her, and she fails to draw Reed. She attacks Pandora with a regular sword, initially managing to sever her head, but is ultimately defeated. The focus then returns to the present, where Teresa regains her senses in her final moments, allowing Wilhelm to finally tell her that he truly loves her. She protests, saying he has been expressing it all along without words, and they exchange those words one last time. As Teresa's body turns to ashes, Heinkel attempts to provoke Reinhard over her fate, but Reinhard refuses to engage. Wilhelm tells Heinkel to stop, gathers Teresa's ashes, and departs, instructing Reinhard to continue fighting as the Sword Saint. I really got emotional during the final send-off of Teresa, and my take on Reinhard saying he has no regrets is that he is so deep in pain that he pretty much lost his emotions. In fact, I feel bad for all three men, because all of them are just trying to deal with the pain in their own ways, and deep down they all know that none of them can be blamed for what happened. All in all, this episode was an emotional roller coaster that can stir anyone's heartstrings, but apparently many people didn't like it due to some minor cut content from the light novel, or not caring about this plot point, and I honestly never expected this level of dumbness from the ReZero fanbase. Nevertheless, thanks for watching everyone. If you like my video then check out some of my other videos. Also don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you want to keep me motivated to make more videos, and you can also leave a comment if you want to say something, because it helps me fight the almighty YouTube algorithm. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram or check out my Facebook page, links are given in the description. Until then, see ya.